I love disruption and I love to do different things, but always grounded in a why, in a good insight, in a good strategy first.
Well, you and I were just talking about, being from Costa Rica. Dallas has a very vibrant Hispanic community. Let's talk about how you connect cultures when it comes to, your brand and your family life, and how that all influences together with what you're doing here.
Yeah, you know what? That's one of the things that I love about this country, this melting pot that you can find in the U.S. So you can be 100% American one day and 100% Latino the following day, right? So, and that's a little bit our life. We've been here for almost 15 years now, and all my kids are American like I am right now, but we still, at heart, Costa Ricans, right? So we have that both of best worlds in our household, with our friends, with the type of things that we like to do, and it's amazing to have that opportunity here in the U.S.
So I was joking that I feel like people don't understand it. They should almost thank you for their love of avocado, because there have been a lot of campaigns and a lot of things that you have been behind that has influenced them. Perhaps they don't realize, the person behind that or the team behind that. Take us back a little bit to when you first started and where you are now. The innovation that you have is pretty remarkable. So how do you take something that people look at and go, okay, yeah, this is what we make guacamole with, and then elevate that to where it is now?
Well, that was exactly the idea. I think that you described it very well, because when I started with Avocados from Mexico, my whole career was in CPG marketing. And they decided to give me this opportunity without having the experience of managing this produce fresh industry. And I think that was a great message that I got from my board since the beginning, that they wanted to do something different. And that's been our mentality since the beginning. We saw that opportunity of creating the first produce brand that thinks like a CPG brand, because we think that we need those emotions that connect brands with other categories in the produce aisle as well. And that was exactly the idea, right? Become one brand that means something for the consumer, so they could buy it more and more and feel more engaged with it. And it's been an amazing result so far, right? We've been able to double the market in less than 7 years. But also we became a very strong and recognized brand in the US. When we started the organization, one of the issues that we had was that only 20% of consumers preferred avocados from Mexico, and now we are by far not only a Super Bowl advertiser, but a brand that people recognize and love. So we were able to create that dual responsibility that we called of building up a brand and creating demand at the same time, and it's been an amazing ride with a great team that really is the one that has helped me out to put this through.
It's a great team. It's a small team. I mean, you do a lot with this small. Tell me how many people you have working with you.
It is incredible, because it's less than 40 people, and we are right now probably the #1 produce marketing program in the U.S. But the way that we set up the organization was like that. We work with almost 15 agencies around us, and that has helped us to keep the team small but mighty, right? We bring very important people with a lot of great experience in different areas. I like to create that same melting pot that we were talking about in the U.S. here, also in the company. So we've been bringing people from different industries to have that experience and to put that in practice in a category like avocados, or industry like produce that is not normal. So that experience has been a very interesting way of developing a brand in this brandless world.
When you started and you got this opportunity, I'm trying to think, obviously you think oranges. Had there really been anything other than, I mean, I guess oranges and bananas are top of mind when you think about marketing a fruit?
There was some, right? There were some that they were doing communication around it, but one of the things that we studied at the beginning was exactly that, because the brands or the categories that were doing something, they had like the same formula, right? If you see those ads, they're still present there. It's like the same story of this perfect world of blue skies and perfect water, everything is green, and 3 generations of growers growing, running through the fields with their grandsons, right? And we had that magical story because Michoacan, it is the only place on earth as an area that can grow avocados from January to December. Something very magical and special that happens there. But we decided to ignore that story, not talk about volcanoes, not talk about trees and nature and perfect skies, but to build up a brand. And we always said the opportunity here is to become the Pepsi of produce, the Coca-Cola of produce, and take the best of those brands, learn from them, and bring it to an industry that was not doing that, and then become something different. And it worked for us.
So you mentioned the Super Bowl, yes, and that has been huge for you all. I listened to a podcast you did, I think it was the CMO podcast, it's been over a year ago when I was doing some research about you. And you had talked about AI, so a lot's happened in over a year, and I just would love to talk about your focus right now, your past Super Bowl success, and I know you're already starting to work on the next Super Bowl campaign and how AI fits into all that. There's a lot going on when it comes to advertising, and you're thinking way in the future.
Yes, the Super Bowl has been fundamental for us. We became the first produce fresh brand ever to advertise in the Super Bowl in 2015. And that changed this organization. Not only it put us in the map, that was something that we wanted that first Super Bowl, but really gave us some very clear insights on how to use the Super Bowl in a different way for a small brand like us, reposition it a little bit compared to other brands. And it has been amazing. We have now under our belt 8 Super Bowl campaigns that have give us more than 62 billion impressions in those 8 campaigns. So that's been amazing for a brand our size. Really put us in the map, made us a brand, build up those emotions that we wanted. Now, not every year we have been to the Super Bowl. In the last 2 years, we decided to stay away from the Super Bowl because we were putting a lot of emphasis in college football. There's a big opportunity for us to develop college football even further. So still, the event is very important for us. So we wanted to do something different, and we say, why not AI, right? AI not only has been super hot, but I am a big believer that you have to be careful with shiny objects. And I think that AI could be a very, very strong shiny object. But if you find a way to use it to maximize your strategy, then it could be a very powerful. And that's exactly what we did. We went back to the Super Bowl in the past 2 years. With it, we created one tool that was very fun where you can take pictures of whatever you have in your fridge, and that will give you a personalized guacamole idea for your Super Bowl. And then last year, we created an avatar with Rob Gronkowski, that was part of our Super Bowl campaign, and he made personalized calls to consumers, giving him not only his favorite guacamole recipe, but other personalized ideas for the Super Bowl, because that's what we wanted, to be sure that they understand how to entertain people when they get back to their Super Bowl party. So that's AI working for our strategy, and that's exactly how we wanted it to be, and it was very, very successful for the brand.
I do like what you've said before about how you have a strategy and then things fall into that strategy.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that if you want successful company, has to be a strategy first organization, not an idea first organization. And for us, it's very hard because we don't sell anything. This is a marketing company. My job is to spend money the best way possible to develop a category and a brand. And when you have that power and you're not selling things from day to day, then it's easy to just see an idea, go after it, and you lose focus, right? So we wanted to be sure that we have that discipline. We've been very disciplined in bringing that process to work, where strategy has to be the foundation. And once you know the strategy, once you know where you want to go, then go crazy. I love disruption and I love to do different things, but always grounded in a why, in a good insight, in a good strategy first.
I'm not sure people in the area realize that you have an innovation lab here and where we're at right now. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. And in 2017, we built up this Avo Lab, as we call it here in our company. And it's been amazing because it's a super versatile space where I can do whatever. We have done here from fine dining events with great chefs to what we call the Avocado University, that is the only certified avocado program for chefs and professionals in the US. We do our board meetings here. We bring many different operators that to create the recipes here in this Avo Lab that now are in the market. So it's incredible to see our chefs, our clients working together here, building up ideas that now consumers are enjoying and loving in their stores. So it's pretty cool to have that power here in Dallas, and hopefully all our neighbors know, so we can invite them and enjoy some nice guacamole that we're doing here.
Do you have a favorite way that you like to eat your avocado?
Yeah, I love avocados simple with a spoon and just scoop it with oil and vinegar. That's the way that my grandfather used to have avocados. But when you come to wok, because you cannot ignore wok, I have my recipe. I love something different out of the ordinary. And if you take roasted jalapenos with cranberries, dried cranberries, pistachios, and cotija cheese with a great Avocados from Mexico wok, you're gonna have an amazing experience, believe me.
Ooh, okay. I've never done that before. That sounds good.
100%. You're gonna have the spicy, the sweet, the saltiness all together. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, something I learned in talking to your team, that people here in North America, often we think of avocado as savory, and in other places in the world, they think of it as a dessert. So it's just wrapping your mind around the different concepts that you can have. It's not limited to just some of the stuff that we think of traditionally.
It is not, yeah, totally. It is a very versatile fruit. You can do a lot with it. Yes, in the US, there's a bigger association with salty, savory dishes, right? Like guacamole. There's other countries that they eat it, like you said, with sugar, and it's a dessert. But we have been able to use the fruit in smoothies, ice cream. Actually, let me give you a good tip. If you like to do brownies, you can swap your butter in your brownies recipe, use avocados instead. You will have the same flavor, you will have your amazing brownies, but it will be way more healthy with our good fats that we bring with avocados. So you can do desserts and you can do other crazy things with this fruit that is so versatile.
Okay, now I've got my food tips. Let me get back to some of this right here. You have talked about innovation. We've talked about it being a big focus here. What is next for Avocados from Mexico in terms of like tech farming practices? Do you have any kind of insight into that?
Well, we don't manage the production of avocados, but we work very closely with our parent associations. One that is in Mexico holding growers and packers, the other one here in the US holding all the importers. And for example, we've been working together a lot in our sustainability promise that we unveiled some months ago. We call it the path to sustainability. And we are focused in big areas like climate, biodiversity, water, deforestation that we want to focus on for the next years to have not only a positive impact in the world, but a commitment that we wanted to have as an organization. So those are the type of things that Avocados from Mexico can work with their parent companies without getting involved into production and agribusiness specifically. But we think that we carry the narrative and the voice of the brand, and it's very important to have that sustainability voice for the future, especially for the younger generations.
So you're looking at the sustainability, you're looking at continuing to boost your marketing share and sell more avocados. how do you continue? I mean, I know I've listened to you and read some of your different interviews about having open meetings and sharing your review with other people. You're very open. How do you continue to maintain at a pace that is, because I feel like nowadays people are wanting more and you're doing more with less and oftentimes. So anyone who's watching or listening to that, how do you continue to deliver when you've already delivered a lot?
Well, first, you need to understand the numbers. This category has been growing like crazy, 120% in volume. We now represent an economic output in the US of $7.5 billion a year. So it's very important. But still, if you see the small numbers, every time that you go into a store, you buy less than 3 avocados per trip. You cannot do a good guacamole without less than 3 avocados, right? And if you see a household penetration, we have 70% household penetration. That is pretty high, but almost 50% of the consumers of avocados in the US are still light consumers that consume 2 or 3 times a year. So there's a lot of room to still grow the category. And especially, you have to also look at generations, because when we started this organization, my focus was, let's focus on my generation, Gen X. Why? Because we needed education, we needed to understand avocados. Most of the Gen Xers in the US were not born with avocados, so there was a big opportunity of making them consumers for the future. But now that we're phasing out a little bit the target for our fruit, we have millennials and Gen Zs, and that's the opposite. These guys were born with avocados. These are the avocado toast generation. the guys that will make a line in 30 minutes in Chipotle for a good guac, right? So imagine the future that we have in our hands with this type of generations growing up. So we think that still the future is bright, and even though, yes, people are trying to do more with less, this is a fruit that we have very good research behind that has really no substitute. If you want to guac, that's it, it's avocados. There's nothing like an avocado, right? So that's something that shields our category for the future, and we're going to take advantage of it, being the leader in this country.
What is your, with what you do here and your connection to how are you all connected into the community? I don't know if it's events or, that you reach out, obviously there is always a marketing component to that, but especially within the Hispanic community here locally.
Yeah, we try to be as active as possible. We have a very different setup than other organizations because I report to the government, I report to the USDA, so there are certain rules that we need to follow, like no charity and some other things that unfortunately we cannot do based on the rules that we need to follow. But then we find a way to bring the brand to it and create experiences that will help out the community. For example, we've been working the last 3 years with Dallas College here in the US, creating a program for Latino chefs that are trying to develop for the future. So we are giving them the opportunity through a nice process of paying for their education and then creating avocado funds for the future as well. So I always have to have that brand component, where we feel very proud of doing programs like that because we're supporting the community on one side, but on the other side, making people happy, healthy for the future, and that's exactly what we want to do as a company.
Do you have to explain that to people sometimes, though, as far as who you work for, how that is?
A lot, because when you're a market leader of a big category, we have 85% of market share here in the U.S. And in the produce world, we're a small fish when you compare ourselves to the CPG brands that we're fighting with in the point of sales. But when you get into produce, we are the Coca-Cola of produce, right? So people see that, and the first thing that they think is, well, they have money. Let's ask them for some support, and it's normal, right? All the big leaders in the U.S. they try to help, but then I have to explain. Guys, I have to follow rules, right? And part of my rules is that we have a program that is reporting to a USDA, and these are USDA funds that have to be used to develop a brand and develop the category. If I cannot connect the dots to those two things, then I cannot do it.
What are you most excited about looking forward? Let's just say, I mean, marketing moves really fast. You know, news is trying to do that now too. So let's say the next 3 to 5 years for you.
Well, not only like I told you, the new generation wave that is coming is going to change a lot the way that we're doing. That's also why we've been so focused on sustainability in the past years, building up our commitment, because we understand how these new consumers think, and we want to be sure that we're in line with that. But at the same time, there's other things that makes us very, very excited. Food service has a great opportunity to develop for the future. If you see, like I told you, household penetration is very high, 70%. But if you see our menu penetration in certain categories, still very low. And so there's a lot to grow on the restaurant world that is still recuperating from the craziness that we lived with COVID. So I think that the future on the food service side is still bright. And there are, I would say, because they started with us, all the tricks and strategies like health and wellness that has been there since the beginning, that is getting more and more prominent into the future. And we are now unveiling for our coming year very nice partnerships that we're going to do on the health and wellness side that I think are going to really connect with these new generations, and we're going to continue building up what we want, because I am a believer that every brand has a role, every company has a role in this world. They need to have a very clear reason to exist, and it doesn't have to be always a fight, a social protest, a political stance, right? In our case, our job is to make people healthy and happy. And when you have that promise of making people healthy and happy, there's always going to be new things that will excite you for the future, to make the new generations like that healthy and happy for the years to come.
Yeah, that's a good point about restaurants. I feel like oftentimes you go and you can add guacamole, or I'm sorry, you can add avocado, but
Totally.
Incorporating it already in a dish is another idea.
Totally. If you see a good operator for us, that will carry 2 or 3 recipes maybe in their menu with avocados, out of how many? Right, so there's still a lot of room to get more avocado in there. We think that guacamole is a blessing and also a curse in some way, that if depending on how you see it, right? Because it's been for sure #1 recipe that has developed this category. But the problem with guacamole is that still there's a lot of connection with Mexican culture. So we're working on the food service side to change that mentality and try to make them think like consumers. Consumers don't think anymore that guacamole has to be Mexican, right? Like I always say, you can take a nice guac, put it in a molcajete, eat it with totopos, and you're gonna be 100% Mexican. Just scrap it up, put it in a white bowl, and put yourself in the sofa in front of a Patriots game, and you're 100% American. And you didn't change one thing of that recipe. It is a recipe that crossed over 100% in the consumer side. So we want to be sure that we have that crossover on the food service as well. And that's a big challenge for us for the future.
If you sat down with someone in Dallas who had never tried an avocado, how would you convince them to give it a go?
Listen, it's very easy. This is based on our what we call our power trifecta.
Okay.
Every time that you go into a supermarket, you're gonna have in your cart healthy products because you want to take care of yourself. You're gonna have delicious products because you crave things, and that's normal. And also you're gonna have fun products because you want to go back and have a good time when you're eating something. Okay? If you have 1 scoop of guacamole, I will give you the 3 things in just one single experience. I can be healthy, delicious, and fun at the same time. So imagine that opportunity of enjoying something that you have never enjoyed for this person that we are bringing to the table, but I'm gonna make you happy and I'm gonna make you healthy at the same time. That's a very unique situation that only avocados can give you back.
I feel like people may start using that as a dating profile.
100%.
Healthy, delicious, and fun.
We've been exploring things like that, right? Actually, we were in the past trying to do some partnerships with big brands in dating sites, and one of the things that they were saying is they need to put in "I love avocados." That's going to be 100% a thing.